Good evening. This is Bible Answers, and my name is Evan Gregory. We're going to be looking at the last half of John chapter 12 tonight. I'll have all the verses on the screen here so you can follow along. As always, this is brought to you by the North Columbus Church of Christ. Our website, scrolling below me, is northcolumbuschristians.com. There you can find out more about us. We also have a YouTube page, it's North Columbus Church of Christ, and there you can find all of our previous videos that we've done for Bible Answers. And so we've been working our way through the book of John for several weeks now. We're in John chapter 12. We're starting in verse 27. What we've seen, and if you want to kind of get yourself filled back in, we have the previous show on YouTube, and so there you'll see where at the beginning of John chapter 12, we see Lazarus being raised from the dead. We see where really there's a lot of people believe because, and obviously that's what you would expect. They see Lazarus being raised from the dead. Many people believe in Jesus. The Pharisees, the rulers, they're not happy that many people are believing, and we see as many people would say, the triumphal entry into Jerusalem. And Jesus is making some statements, and we're kind of in the middle of a statement here, starting in verse 27. It says, "Now my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. For this purpose I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name." Then a voice came from heaven saying, "I have both glorified it and will glorify it again." Therefore the people who stood by and heard it said that it had thundered. Others said, "An angel has spoken to him." Jesus answered and said, "This voice did not come because of me, but for your sake. Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world will be cast out. And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all peoples to myself." So Jesus had just finished talking about this idea of a seed that, if basically for it to produce, a plant produce fruit, it has to die. And he continues on, and he's saying, "What shall I say? Father, save me from this hour, but for this purpose I came to this hour." I think if you're familiar with Jesus, if you're familiar with the stories of the Gospels, I think it's obvious what Jesus here is talking about. That he's talking about the time is near for his crucifixion. That he's come to die. That time is getting close, and he says, "For this purpose I came," and so. And so he is not going to shy away from these things. He's not going to shy away from what's going on around him. He says, "Father, glorify your name." Then we see where a voice from heaven says, "I have both glorified it and will glorify it again." We see, and so we don't see it. I don't believe we see it in the book of John, but we see at the time of Jesus' baptism, we hear this voice from heaven, God, God's voice making statements, basically verifying Jesus is who he says he is. And we see here that Jesus asking him to glorify asking the Father to glorify his name, and we see that he's actually doing this, and so that people can hear it. This is not just for Jesus. This is for others. And he says, and so people hear it says that it's thundered, or an angel has spoken to him. Notice Jesus' response. He says, "This voice did not come because of me, but for your sake." Why does he say that? I think it's obvious. Again, the legitimacy of who Jesus is. Jesus knows who the Father is. Jesus is God. He's God in the flesh. And he's doing this to show people who he is, make it clear who he is, that there won't be any confusion. He says, "Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world will be cast out. And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all peoples to myself." Again, I think he's talking about, he's making clear that the time is near, that it's the judgment of this world, the ruler of this world will be cast out. But he's not saying, and so the ruler of this world would be Satan, and he's saying that Satan's power is going to be destroyed. That's power of sin. It's going to be done away with through Christ and his sacrifice. But there's also going to be judgment there. Those that refuse to follow Jesus, they're going to be judged as well. So there's going to be judgment, but also we see where the ruler of this world, Satan, is being casted out. He says, if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all peoples to myself. And so we'll clear this up later in the following verses that are not on the screen. But he's talking about his death here. He's being lifted up. Now, I think the Jews misunderstand what he's saying here, but we'll see his death. We see that he'll literally will be lifted up, and through that death, and him, not only just being lifted up on the cross, but also ascending, being resurrected and ascending back to heaven, and in that way also being lifted up from the earth. He says that he's going to draw all peoples to himself. He will draw all peoples to myself. So not only the Jews, but I think he's also hinting at the Gentiles. When he says all peoples, he means all peoples. The people are going to turn to him as a result of what he's going to do. And so I think we have some. Okay, so that's verse 32. I thought I had my slides messed up there for a moment. We're going to look at verses 33 through 36. It says, "This he said, signifying by what death he would die. The people answered him, We have heard from the law that the Christ remains forever. And how can you say the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man?" Then Jesus said to them, "A little while longer the light is with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you. He who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become sons of light." These things Jesus spoke and departed and was hidden from him. So, like I said a few moments ago, verse 33, we see what he's talking about being lifted up. This he says, signifying by what death he would die. Okay, so it's talking about this death on the cross, and the people don't understand what he means by that. I think it's obvious that they know that he's saying that the Son of Man is going to, he's not going to remain forever. Obviously, maybe they're thinking that he's going to leave, and certainly again. I think about him ascending from the earth, but here it's clear that he's talking about his death. But the people understand to some degree that he's saying that he's not going to stay there forever, that he's not going to stay on the earth forever. And so they're questioning the Christ. And so who is this Son of Man? And Jesus doesn't respond to that, but he doesn't make a direct response, but he keeps on telling these people ultimately to follow him, to believe in him. They're over there questioning. He's still trying to guide them to him. And he says, a little while longer, the light is with you. This light here is going to be Jesus. Walk while you have the light. While I'm here, believe in me. Receive the information that I'm given from you, lest darkness overtake you. He who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. So one's walking in darkness. He's walking in sin. He's just lost and confused. He has no guidance. Jesus will guide him. That light is going to guide him. Believe in the light that you may become sons of light. And so if you believe in him, you'll have salvation. You'll have eternal life. As he puts it, you will have light. You will become sons of light. You're going to have, I think about this change from being of the world, or being, as Paul will put it, this old man. And now, through Jesus, you can put on the new man. You've changed. You're now no longer walking in darkness, but you're walking in the light. And so these things Jesus spoke, and he departed, and it was hidden from them. So we make our way to verses 37. It says, "But although he had done so many signs before them, they did not believe in him, that the word of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spoke, Lord, who has believed our report, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? Therefore, they could not believe, because Isaiah said again, He has blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, lest they should see with their eyes, lest they should understand with their hearts and turn, so that I should heal them. These things Isaiah said when he saw His glory and spoke of Him. He performs all these signs. He raises a man from the dead. They still don't believe in Him. And so what more would it take? And, we see this prophecy of Isaiah that it's fulfilled. Lord, who has believed our report, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? We're seeing that all these things have been revealed, as Isaiah puts it, the arm of the Lord. All these things have been given to him, all this information, all this knowledge, and yet who believes? Also, we see He has blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, lest they should see with their eyes, lest they should understand with their hearts and turn, so that I should heal them. Notice what's being said here, that God here is playing a part with them being blinded or hardened. And what we have to recognize is this is not God just arbitrarily choosing and just deciding, hey, I'm going to make it to where the Jews won't believe. In another passage, and I don't even know if this is in John, but Jesus makes a statement that he wanted to gather the Jews like a hen would gather their chicks, but they weren't willing. That He wanted to do it, but the Jews weren't willing. We also see in Romans 1 this idea of people that they don't like to retain God in their thoughts, and so God will give them over to that debased mind. And so we have to recognize that this is not God just zapping these people and making them choose this life or choose to not, or force them to not believe, but rather these people don't want to believe to begin with. They're already of this darkened mindset. And so God is going to allow them to continue in it. He's going to give them over, so to speak, to to have these eyes that are blind, this heart that is hardened. And again, it's not that God has forced them to do this, but they are already of this mindset, and God gives them over to it. He basically says, if you want to live like this and think like this, I'm gonna let you do this. And so, even though all these things are happening, they're still blind. They're still hardened. We see Stephen in Acts chapter 7 rebuking the Jews for the same exact thing, that they're stiff necked, they're hard of heart, even though God has given them all these blessings, this knowledge, they still refuse to believe in Jesus. And what we'll read here in a few moments, and not only are they rejecting Jesus, is they're also rejecting the Father. And so let's go to that. Verses 42 through 47 says, nevertheless, even among the rulers, many believed in him, but because of the Pharisees, they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue, for they loved the praise of men more than the praise of God. Then Jesus cried out and said, he who believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me. And he who sees him, he who sees me sees him who sent me. I have come as a light into the world, that whoever believes in me should not abide in darkness. And if anyone hears my words and does not believe, I do not judge him, for I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world. So we see where many don't believe. Verse 42, nevertheless, many of the rulers did believe in him. But notice the problem here. It says, but because of the Pharisees, they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue. So they believed in him, but they wouldn't confess him, because they were afraid they were going to be put out of the synagogue, for they loved the praise of men more than the praise of God. This verse is interesting to me, and it's something to think about, this idea of belief and faith. We know clearly the Bible teaches that faith saves, I think that, especially when you look at Romans chapter 4, James chapter 2, we see that there are different types of faith. In James 2, it talks about the faith of demons. The demons believe, but yet obviously they're not saved. And so when we look at these people here, these rulers, many believe in him. They would have, in their mind, they would believe the idea that Jesus is the Messiah, but they wouldn't confess him. They wouldn't completely follow him. They loved the praise of men more than the praise of God. And I think it's very important that we understand what true saving faith looks like. This is not what saving faith is. They believe in him. They again. If somebody was asking them, well, maybe not. They said they wouldn't confess him, but at least in their mind they would believe him. And so they love the praise of man more than the praise of God. If you're familiar with the Bible, what does God say about those that love the praise of men more than the praise of God? That they love the things of the world more than the things of God. Is that person going to make it to heaven? Is that person pleasing to God? And so we have to be careful with this. That I think the Bible is clear that saving faith is not just, well, I just believe a certain set of facts, but never act on it. Never act as though I believe it. I may say that I believe it, but I never act upon it. And this is the problem here with the Pharisees. I believe saving faith always acts upon what it believes. It just doesn't make sense to not to. If you say that you're a follower of Jesus or that you believe Jesus, your life ought to line up to you being a follower of Jesus. So they love the praise of men more than the praise of God. Then it says, then Jesus cried out and said, he who believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me. Again, this idea that, and he's not saying don't believe in him. What he's saying is, I think that if you're seeing Jesus, you're seeing the Father. If you believe in Jesus, you're believing in the Father. If you're and so therefore, if you're rejecting Christ, you're rejecting the Father as well. So, and he who sees me sees him who sent me. So again, if you're listening to me, you're listening to the Father. And so it's again is if the Father himself is here with us. You don't have to wonder what the Father has to say because you're hearing it from me. And so he says, I've come as a light to the world that whoever believes in me should not abide in darkness again. Referencing back to what we've seen, that follow the light, become sons of light. If anyone hears my word and does not believe, I do not judge him, for I did not come to judge the world, but to save him. Now, and so this is in the middle of a thought, but he makes this statement, I don't judge the person that doesn't believe. And what we'll see is there's, again, I'm referring back to your knowledge of the Bible, but the Bible makes several statements along this line that Jesus is judging people. God's judging people. So what does he mean by that? In 48 through 50, it says, he who rejects me and does not receive my words has that which judges him. The word that I have spoken will judge him on the last day. For I have not spoken on my own authority, but the Father who sent me gave me a command, what I should say and what I should speak. And so I think so he's saying, I don't judge him, but the word that I'm speaking is judging this person. Well, who is the word coming from? For I've not spoken on my own authority, but the Father who sent me gave me a command what I should say and what I should speak. So if you're not listening to what I'm saying, you're not listening to what the Father is saying. And so he's saying that you're not listening to this, you're not listening to the Father, and so you're rejecting the Father, you're rejecting his word, and so that what you have rejected, that word, is going to judge you. And I'm not exactly sure exactly what he's referencing when he says, I don't judge him. But I think maybe he's talking about this of him as a human, maybe getting the people to think beyond just what they're seeing there. That he's saying, the person here, I'm not judging you, but I want you to pay attention to something that's deeper than what's going on. What I'm giving you is from God Himself. If you're rejecting this, you're rejecting God as well. And so you're going to be judged based on you rejecting that word. He says, and I know that His command is everlasting life. Therefore, whatever I speak, just as the Father has told me, so I speak. Whatever I speak, just as the Father has told me, so I speak. So He's speaking again, making it clear that He's speaking the things of the Father. He's telling him, so He's speaking the Father's commands. The Father's commands are everlasting life. And so if we listen to Jesus, we listen to those commands, we're going to have everlasting life as well. So He's making it painfully clear, well, at least in my eyes, maybe not to the Jews, about who Jesus is. What are the importance of the things in which He says? And what He's saying here is that they are of the utmost importance, that we have to pay attention to His words. Where are His words coming from? It's not just coming from some mind of man. It's coming from God the Father Himself. And so we have to pay attention to the things in which He says. So this ends John chapter 12. I hope that this has been useful. Don't have any questions or comments, but if you have any later on, feel free to comment on this post on Facebook, or you can comment on our YouTube page as well, and I'll try to respond to that. But as time goes on, we'll just keep on working our way through the book of John. Hopefully, Lord willing, we'll finish eventually, and we'll just find us something else to talk about. But again, I hope this has been useful. And until next time, I hope that you all have a good day and a good rest of the week. Thanks.